gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scott Garrett Show. This show is called We're Not Running a Race, We're Running a Relay. I'm doing this show to show men, especially black men, the way we should be thinking about helping each other and getting along with each other. When I was in my early 30s, late 20s, I owned a nightclub. I started working on the idea for this nightclub at age 25 was when the idea first came across. Because where I lived at that point, there were no nightclubs around that really catered to African Americans and were more upscale. It didn't exist where I lived. So the ingenuity that I had in getting that done actually took a long time. It took probably about 4 years actually from inception to actually seeing the reality come to fruition. So it took a long time. But along that time, I was able to amass a lot of information from a lot of people. Some of the people had to pay for the information, and some people just gave me the information. So how I went about doing it was, first of all, I had to teach myself how to write a business plan. And when I think about the evolution of my business plan, I laugh because I remember sitting in front of people who were influential and having them look at my business plan. And the beauty of how it played out was everybody who I was sitting in front of was an entrepreneur themselves. So I think that, and a lot of them, these were white men and black men and all sorts of people. A lot of them, I didn't sit in front of any women, so that's why I didn't say women at the time, but I would have sat in front of a monk if they would have had the money. But I just ended up in front of some white men and black men who were also entrepreneurs, and a lot of them, pretty big at the time, and through a lot of personal connections, I was able to get myself in front of these people. So the first generations of my business plan were pretty crazy as I look back on it. But the beauty of people, and especially entrepreneurs, the one thing that they love is they love to see an entrepreneurial spirit. Because me sitting in front of these people, it made them remember when they were me. And they always helped me. Even though they didn't give me money at the time, they always gave me information. They always told me what to do to improve my business plan. They told me what my business plan should have. They showed me other things that I should be looking at. They always gave me a bunch of information. So by the time I sat in front of the last person, I went into my spiel, broke my business plan out, and within a half an hour, I had a check, and I was on my way. So I did a ton of research because it took about 5 years, and I was ready to roll. So we get the business going, and it's going great. And I can remember about a month before my business opened, I happened to be at an event. So the buzz was already around the city that this was going to happen and that this club was opening, because it had been previously, it had been a club a couple other times. So it was a buzz around that this club was going to be open, but nobody really knew who the owner was. So there was a few people around who knew that it was myself, and I was at an event. So I'm sitting around talking to a guy that I knew, and we were talking about, it was going to be a month or two before the club opened and what was going on. So after our conversation, I went on with my friends or whatever, having a couple of drinks, having a good time at this party we were at. So shortly after that, I run into the same guy I was talking to. And he was like, "Man, you see that dude over there? It was some black cat I never seen, didn't know who he was." He was like, "Man, I was over there telling that dude that you were the one who opened up the club." And he was like, looking you up and down and like, said, man, I'm looking at this dude. Man, he ain't about to open no club nowhere. Man, that dude looks like he's never made more than $12 an hour anytime in his life. This is a cat who I don't even know, had never seen, never spoken to, nothing. But he looks across the room and says this. I just laughed and said to myself, wow, am I running a race with that guy? Why is he competing with me? Why does he want to down me? So I went on about my business, opened up the club. We went on for about 3 years. We went on pretty good. Made a lot of money. Had a lot of entertainers. Did a lot of innovative things. It was a great time in my life, to a period. And then there came a conflict with the city that I lived in. And we went through a whole big legal battle. They closed me down. I sued. We ended up settling out of court. Now, as I moved on through life, I got into another job, another profession, and went on with my life. But periodically, people who wanted to be in the nightclub business would call me. And every single time anybody called me, I gave them every piece of information that I could give them. Period. Because to me, I'm not in a race. I'm in a relay. If I've gone as far as I can go, I'm going to pass the baton to someone else and let you run with it. And I hope you run further and faster than I did. And I hope you win. Because fate stopped my race, but that didn't stop my love for other people's entrepreneurial spirit. So I freely gave all the information that I could. The thing that I found most disturbing was when I gave this information to black men, young black men, or some older black men, and these were people who sought me out. I didn't seek them out to give them information. This is people who a mutual friend would call and say, so-and-so is trying to do this and that. I'm going to put them in contact with you, and when you talk to them. And I'm like, of course I will. It's free. My conversation to help you is free. All I want to do is see you run faster and longer than I did. Not to hold you back, not to give you bogus information, and I gave you real information. I gave you the business plan that I had. I gave you anything I had. Most of the time, I gave you information that I had to pay for. Because I was smart enough when I got into a business that I didn't know about, I found a consultant to consult me through all the ins and outs of the business, and this consultant had been doing this for a long time. So I paid for the information that I was willing to give away for free. What I found is these people would sit in front of me and act as if, why would you give me this information to make me successful? And it struck me, do these guys think that I would waste my time and sit around and give them bogus information so that they fail? What has the world come to when, as a brother, you think I would sit there and give you some information that's not going to make you successful purposely? I told of the mistakes I made. I told of the good things that I did. I even told most of them that they wouldn't listen to this information, but it would ring true, and eventually they would do exactly what I said. And that's what happened for one of them. He ended up getting the business, getting it open. Things played out the way I told him it would play out. And then after a year and a half, he did exactly what I said he should do. And now he's successful. So he's running his race, and he keeps running with it. And I applaud that man. I applaud his success. His success does not equal my failure. Him running the race now is not in competition with me running the race before. My job as a man is to pass that baton on to him and let him know what the pitfalls are and have him run with that. Until we as men realize that there's some brothers out there who will help you if you're trying to help yourself. But you have to realize that they aren't in competition with you. They aren't hating on you. They want to see you do good. You doing good makes other people feel good. The more brothers out there doing things and making other people feel good, the more spirit of goodwill we'll have amongst each other. I stood amongst 1 million, it felt like 2 million brothers during the Million Man March. So I stood in harmony with 2 million black men without one fight, without one gun, without one ill word, just love, trust, and mutual respect amongst men. We don't have to hate each other. We can applaud each other's success. We can help each other. We're not in a race against each other. We're running a relay.